What's up, Internet, and welcome to the YieldTomato Gaming Channel for another pickups video for 2018. Oh boy, so, like in the last one, I said I hadn't done a lot of these because, well, I've been playing a lot of games and picking up a lot of games. We've been doing a couple of out-of-town trips and picking up quite a few games as we went, and just the list got bigger and bigger. I think in total, since the last time I did one, we got like 45 or 50 games. I mean, it's pretty substantial. So let's get started with this next one here that is an abstract oddity, and no one really ever talks about it, but a friend of mine recommended it to me because it is an RPG, and that is Destiny of an Emperor. Now, this game is a rather odd one because it's not an RPG in the same sense that you would expect. All of your characters in your party are generals, and those generals, they technically don't have HP. They have soldiers. So let's say a general has 100 soldiers, and if the enemy attacks that character, and they go from 100 soldiers down to 30 soldiers, and then, you know, done with the day, after you win or lose, whatever. End result is, your HP actually is soldier count, and you have to, it's kind of like, instead of getting healed, what you're doing is you're going to a recruitment center to recruit more soldiers. It's kind of an interesting concept in that respect. It's actually also an RPG published by Capcom. I don't know if it was developed by them or not. It very well may have been. Capcom isn't well known for making RPGs. The only one they're really known for is the Breath of Fire series, which the first one was actually published by Square, not by Capcom, which made that one very interesting. But yeah, a friend of mine recommended this, so I figured I'd give it a pick up. I like Capcom games, I like RPGs, and this one's a very interesting take on that, so figured why the hell not. And now, let's jump from, 1985 upwards to 2015, where I backed a game known as Shantae Half Genie Hero. Well, I did get the digital game as I had backed it at. I also backed it at a bunch of physical stuff too, so I'm still waiting on my t-shirt and coin and all that good stuff. But as I continue to wait for that, they released the Ultimate Edition on the Switch. Which has every single piece of DLC, period. Which is both awesome and terrible, because I don't think I can move my Tinkerbat DLC over. But one nice thing about this is, I have yet to see a Switch game that comes with a frickin' manual. So that had me really excited. And on top of that, it's a color manual too. So, I mean, let's see if I can get a decent shot in there. Yeah, look at that. There's color in there. There we go, yeah. And on the inside of the case, there's actually a bunch of sketches, it looks like, for different positionings and animation holds and such for Shantae. So, it's really neat. But yeah, if you weren't already aware, a friend of mine and I played through the original Shantae on the Game Boy Color, which I actually do own a physical copy of. I didn't buy it on the Nintendo eShop. And that game is excellent, and I am terrible at it. But the game is fantastic. If you get a chance, you really should play the original Shantae. And this is kind of like a spiritual successor to that one, in the respect that it goes back to like the whole transformation gimmick thing. I shouldn't even say gimmick, the transformation style of play, where your transformations actually are your world progression. So it's like, oh, you need to get through here, but you can't do it because you don't have the elephant transformation, which would allow you to slam through it, that kind of thing. But yeah, you should check out our Let's Play of it. We had a lot of fun with it. Very Metroidvania. Alright. Let's keep up the somewhat modern games with a game that everyone overlooked altogether, and I feel like it's probably better than what most people give it credit for, just by its glance, because it actually looks really interesting. And that is Technomancer. I paid like 10 or 15 bucks for this. And I think I'm probably perfectly fine with that amount. It looks like a very vibrantly colored world. It looks like a very interesting take on sci-fi. And I feel like this didn't really get published by a big name. I've never heard of Focus Home Interactive. And I've never heard of the developer Spiders. But I feel like this is one of those games that kind of harkens back to the day when you could go to the store and you can look at all of the games. And this was actually, I think, the PS2 was probably the last time this ever happened, that era. When you could go in and you could see a number of games from developers and publishers that you may not have ever heard of, and you can pick them up and find that some of them are actually quite good, but in an almost cheesy way, you know? Like, I would akin it to probably being like the B-movie grade video games, or the upper middle class, if you will, of video games, as opposed to highbrow. Like, some of those games, like, you look at it, it's like, man, it's like covers that are misleading, you know? The cover has nothing to do with the game, but then you actually put in the game, and you're like, holy crap, this game's fantastic, this cover is totally what killed it. That kind of, I feel like this might have that kind of effect. No one's heard of anybody involved with this game, so I feel like the game might actually be better than most people give it credit for. I don't know. I'm just going into a tirade of talking in circles at this point, so I'm going to put it down. The next more recent game I picked up because I like stealth games, and this one, I want to say, makes me think mildly steampunkish, but not really. It leans more towards fantasy, and that is Styx, Shards of Darkness. Another Focus Home Interactive. But I remember this was gaining some news and publicity. I don't remember why. Hell, it may not have even been gaining any publicity for all I know. I just remember my friend was talking about it, and he thought it looked really interesting because the goblin's a little asshole. So you're playing an ambiguously evil, good goblin monster who happens to be an assassin. So I don't know. I haven't really played it yet, but I'm interested to see exactly how this plays out. And I find it interesting that there's actually co-op to this game. I didn't even notice that before. Wow. So, yeah, the world has, like, floating air balloon ship things. I'm like, alright, I can see where this could be pretty interesting, maybe, hopefully. I don't know yet. But, again, I didn't pay much for this one either. I think I paid 10 bucks for it. And I'm perfectly okay paying that for something that I'm on the fence about, you know? I don't know. I'm thinking it might be kind of like my thoughts on Technomancer. A harkening back to when you could pick up an unknown game and it could still be quite good. So yeah, why not? This starts stepping backwards in time a bit here again. This next one here I bought because, boy, it sure visually looked similar to other games I've played that I absolutely adore. Oh, what? You mean Murakumo Renegade Mech Pursuit is made by From Software? No! They made Armored Core. So this game, all the mechs look like Armored Core mechs. This game is super fast-paced and very action-oriented, and I think that's fantastic. I like From Software. I like a lot of the stuff they do. I like mech games. This was like a no-brainer for me to pick up. And you can get this for really cheap, too. I think I paid like $5 for it. This is a very reasonable game to get on your Xbox original, and I would recommend doing so just to have something different, because there's not a lot of games like this one. At least not on the Xbox. I can't think of any other games, though, in general, so, you know, why not? So this next one got panned, like, straight up. Like, nobody was really fond of this, but I don't care, because I like the art on the cover, and I like the premise, and I like the weapon. The problem is the weapon I've heard is completely overpowered, and that is Red Ninja End of Honor. Now, that's kind of interesting because I didn't think ninjas had honor, but what do I know? Yeah, the graphics look good. This actually kind of reminds me of like a mix between Tenchu. It's like if Samurai Champloo had a Tenchu spinoff, you know, that's kind of the vibe I get from looking at this. I think it looks interesting. I think it could be fun. I don't know if it earned those terrible reviews I read or not. We'll find out eventually. I don't know. But again, you know, the artwork's really cool on there. And Vivendi Universal Games. Boy, I can't think of anything else they've really done. But I think Vivendi is actually a movie company. That might be why. Anyway, so yeah, figured snag that one. This one here is one I never heard of, and I'd never seen before. But looking at it, boy, this looks like they wanted to channel F-Zero really hard. And that is Quantum Redshift. This is a really cheap game. I paid like $5 for it. It has a lot of fast-paced hover vehicle driving, and that's what it is. It's a hover racer. And everything I saw, and I was like, boy, this looks like F-Zero. And it doesn't bother me. It doesn't look like it's as fast as F-Zero. It kind of also gives me a few vibes of like Hydro Thunder. I think that's what I'm thinking of. And like the craft kind of remind me of the Hydro Thunder boats a little bit. But I figured, I like racing games, and this one kind of has a Mario Kart F-Zero mix feel to it, because you can get weapons and power-ups and, blast your opponents as you're driving, or flying, or hovering down the track and everything, so, yeah. For a cheap racer, why not, Trying to expand a little bit my horizons. Now this next one here, this is a good one. Pretty much everyone Oh, actually, speaking of and thinking of Vivendi Universal, they published this one. And that is Simpsons Hit and Run. This is a game I remember playing back in the day when it came out. I had played it on the GameCube. I don't remember why I picked the GameCube over the PS2 at the time. It's actually very possible that it was because I had just gotten the GameCube at that point. Sure enough, though, the GameCube version is the hardest version to get now. But I wanted to beef up the Xbox collection a little bit, so I picked up this one. Basically, it's a Grand Theft Auto clone set in Springfield, fully rendered and realized, and it's actually a lot of fun to drive around in. They have all kinds of nods to various episodes in there. They've got different outfits from various specific episodes in there too, like Homer and the Moo Moo. The cars are really, really neat and different. You can get different ones throughout it. As you progress through certain story elements, it does move you to playing different characters. It's a lot of fun just to, do all the challenges and drive through Springfield and experience and kind of like develop your own Simpsons episode, but not really. I don't know. I had a lot of fun with it though, and I actually, when I got it in the mail, put it in the Xbox to play it, to test it, I was sat there for like 2 hours playing it. I had a lot of fun with it. So this is one of those games I don't remember ever beating, but I kind of want to now, because it holds up really well today. So, alright, this next one's a Nintendo game, and it's a Wii U game, and that is Lego Jurassic World. Now, 3 of my favorite movies of all time, and I mean favorite, like, I have a lot of trouble placing them on my top 3, just like whereabouts they would be. Blade Runner is one of them. The original Terminator is one of them. Terminator 2 is pretty far up there too, but it's not as iconic to me, even though it's the most remembered one. Jurassic Park is hands down one of my favorite movies. And this is, for all intents and purposes, the best Jurassic Park game. I enjoyed Jurassic World for what it was, and that was just, the ability to watch people get mauled by dinosaurs. But the first Jurassic Park was kind of like a suspenseful horror movie in a lot of ways, and I really, really liked that approach to it. And I'm really hopeful that the third Jurassic World movie channels that more aggressively, which it sounds like they're going to. But yeah, the Lego games have always been great, and I love the Jurassic Park property, so I'm actually surprised I didn't already get this. But maybe that's because I don't really own any of the Lego games. That's probably why. Anyway, that's the only Wii U game. However, I did get a Wii game, which looks absolutely atrociously like shovelware, and that is Skycrawlers. Innocent Aces, powered by Project Aces. This was an Xseed published title. I mean, look at that cover. Look at the cover. I'm putting it on the screen. This cover absolutely screams shovelware title. However, it is developed by the crew behind the Ace Combat series. And to top it off, it's actually a tie-in property to the movie of the same name, The Skycrawlers. It's an anime film. It's gotten good reviews. I have not seen it. I actually, after I saw the cover to the movie, I remember that actually showing up at the local store I work at. I remember seeing that movie come in when it was new. And I just remember thinking, boy, this looks interesting. We got like 2 copies of it and they sold. And then we never saw it again, and then it just fled from my mind. I actually do like air combat games, as I mentioned in my previous pickup video. So this kind of was a little bit of a resonant with me, and it looks like a shovelware title, but it's quite good. So I am super stoked to have this in here. Now, as you can probably tell, or maybe not, this is actually a brand new copy. As of right now, getting these new is relatively cheap. You're looking at, I think, an average of $15. I think I paid like $12 for mine. I got a good deal on that. But $10 to $15 on average you can get this game for, anywhere from used to new. Unless the prices are starting to go up on it, I don't know. But it's totally worth grabbing, man. So, yeah, definitely look into that one. Now we're moving into some PS2 games. Now this next PS2 game, or this first PS2 game I'm going to show, has eluded me for a while, mostly because I would always be like, oh yeah, that looks awesome. I need to remember to get that. And then I'd forget it, like, immediately. And I finally remembered it. And that is 7 Samurai 20XX. Based off, or I shouldn't say based, inspired by Akira Kurosawa's film, The Seven Samurai. That movie is incredibly hard to watch today, by the way. It's like 3 hours long and very slow paced. But it's a very, very important movie in cinema history. This actually kind of feels like it takes a little bit more inspiration off of the anime adaptation, which was a sci-fi take on it, with a lot more over-the-topness to it, which is perfectly fine because I think that's going to work better as a action game. But yeah, I finally remembered to grab this one. This cover looks really bad. It was published by Sammy Studios, which we're all familiar with as the publishers of Guilty Gear, if I remember right. I'm pretty sure they did Guilty Gear. I could be getting that mistaken. I'll be sad if I am. Kind of tough to track this one down, but if you can snag it, you should. It's a really good action game. Now this one here is a sequel to a very I'm not going to say underappreciated because I can't even say it's that. I don't even think it should be greatly appreciated, but it's a sequel to a very interesting concept. And that was Galerians Ash. Another Sammy Studios game, actually, which this is way, way bigger on this particular cover. Basically, this is a direct follow-up to the original Galerians, which was a PlayStation 1 tank control sci-fi horror game where your main character had psychokinetic powers. And you had a limited amount of, I'm going to call it brain juice, to use your abilities, and you could pick up vials that would actually recharge that, so you had to be careful with how much of your superpower you used, lest you be unable to use it anymore in times of need. From what I read on this, it's kind of wonky because you're playing as a clone of the character from the first game. I don't know. It seems bizarre, but it does bolster that it's running at 60 frames, which is very interesting for a game to be making a clamor on that. So I'm interested to see how this one actually plays compared to the tank controls of the first one. So now we have a very beloved sequel, or a sequel to a very beloved game, and that is Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil. That's what I'm gonna go with. Fully 3D, but still maintains the 2.5D kind of stylings of the first one, where it's side-scrolling on a determined path. This game looks beautiful. The art's really cute on it. It's one of those games that I feel that it didn't necessarily need a sequel, but it got a decent sequel out of it, and a lot of people, I feel, overlooked it. It's just one of those games with a very unique platforming element to it that no one else has really mimicked or done since. It had a good gimmick to it, and just they left it alone afterwards. It's kind of unfortunate. There were also some Game Boy Advance games, but I don't remember them very well. But my wife really liked the first one, so figured let's get the second one. We still need to get the Wii remake of the first one. This next game I've actually started playing. Man, is this a weird and tough to play game. And my god, it's Sammy Studios again. Spy Fiction. This game is, for the lack of better mixing, I feel like this is Metal Gear Solid meets Hitman, is the vibe I kind of get out of this game. You're sneaking around like you would in the Metal Gear game. You have kinds of bizarre equipment that you would have from a Metal Gear game. They try to somewhat copy the inventory system for it, but they have a disguise mechanic that's very, very much a Hitman kind of thing. You have to actually go to a dumpster or a closet to change your disguise, even though it's clearly a digital projection on your character. And you have to use your disguises to get around populated environments with non-combatants in them and such. So it's a really interesting game. The controls are kind of funky, but I don't not like it. It's very weird. I have a very weird thought on this. It's like there are some cool ideas, but poor mechanical implementation. And this is actually a game that many people may be interested in because it was developed by Swery, the man behind Deadly Premonition, and his new weird cat game that my friend backed for whatever reason. I don't know. I think it looks interesting, but so yeah, Spy Fiction. It's a very interesting take on the. Oh, and there's a scene straight ripped out of Mission Impossible. So I'm sorry. It's Mission Impossible meets Metal Gear meets Hitman, and it's such a bizarre combination. So I don't know. If Swery interests you, you should totally check this out because it totally has the weird vibe that he gives off in his games. Lastly, but not least, is Tokobot Plus. Now, you may also notice that this one is brand new, and that's because this game is relatively affordable still. I got this game brand new for $15, and you can get it new, used or new, anywhere from 10 to 20, just depending on what's going on. Unless that has changed since I got mine. That does kind of fluctuate, as you can imagine any old games do. But it's kind of like a dungeon crawler mixed with a puzzle-solving mechanic with the Tokobots. You use them to get across obstacles, whether you're using them as a ladder or a bridge, or using them as various styles and types of weaponry. It's a very interesting concept, and I really like the art style, and I really like the idea behind it. So I figured I'd pick this up. This is one that I had known about, again, like Seven Samurai. I'd known about it, and I tell myself I need to get it, then I forgot about it. But now I don't have to remember or remind myself, because now I have it. So, yeah. Games galore, man. So, that's it for this pickups video, guys. What'd you think of these games? Have you played them? If so, what did you think about them? Are they better than you remember, worse than you remember, or just like you remember? I'd be interested to know what you guys thought, so feel free to leave a comment down below if you wish to spark a discussion, or to give me some insight on what you guys might think I'd like to get. Again, I watch these videos myself, pickup videos and top counts, because it introduces me to games I may or may not have been aware of before. So then I just go out and I pick them up and play them myself. So if you haven't, guys, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Stay up to date with all of our latest videos and content. You might even be interested in one of our Let's Plays, or other pickups, or possibly some of my reviews. So if you like this video, also feel free to like it, or watch some of my other content. You might like it. Like I said, I'm tired. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.